with gin joints and...
Too busy living.
I watched sea beams.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
I was chuckling during this movie. I don't think that was the intent. The intended reaction by the writer-director J.C. Chandler, no. What a mess. What a mess Margin Call is. It can't decide what it wants to be. Is it going to be a sort of thriller, mystery, dangerous drama?
Be careful.
Or is it going to be all about cataclysmic numbers?
Is that figure right?
Looks pretty right to me.
Or is it going to be about the solution to the cataclysm?
Sell it all today.
You're selling.
So that we may survive.
Or is it going to be a morality play about how they do a fire sale at this large conglomerate to as a solution for the cataclysm?
Selling something that you know has no value.
About books.
You cannot be doing what you're thinking of doing.
I mean, hint, it's the last one. Well, sort of. What this really is a sort of badly written, Hollywood-esque, not understanding, sophomoric, snide little jab at the Wall Street process. That's what this movie is about. And boy, is it boring. I mean, it really, you've got a bunch of people making $250,000 to $20 million a year. They're going to lose their jobs. That's really what it comes down to. If you take the morality play out of it, because there is no moral problem with what they're talking about in this movie, selling your assets. So they have to fabricate a moral problem for this movie. And on top of all that, you don't like anybody. There is nobody in this movie you like. You kind of sort of like a couple of people, but the decisions they make at the end make it to where you can't even like them. So, bad movie, can't figure out what it's going to do, fabricates a morality play that doesn't work. You don't like anybody. No, don't watch this movie. Okay, I'm going to do a deep dive with plot spoilers right now. Call plot spoilers. A bunch of rich Wall Street types are going to lose their job. Semi-rich and rich Wall Street types are going to lose their job if the big conglomerate they work for goes under, and then they will get a big bonus if it goes under. Then they will have to go find other jobs in Wall Street. Does that sound like a compelling story to you? No. Does it sound like much sympathy in your heart for these people? No. That's what Margin Call, 2011 Margin Call, really is about. Though the writer-director, J.C. Chandra, tries to make it a morality play, this story. That what they're doing, as I mentioned in the 2-minute intro, what they're doing is somehow immoral. It's not. They're selling off their holdings. They've come to the conclusion that the mortgage-backed securities, which that phrase is not used in this movie, so I imagine a lot of people are confused, MBSs, are becoming worthless. They got blindsided. So they think they've got to sell, they got to have a fire sale. So that's what this is about. It's not interesting, which makes, since it's not interesting and you don't care about any of these people. So why am I watching this movie? I really don't know. So the morality play that he concocts, obviously, is that that this is wrong. This is somehow wrong. But of course, it's not wrong to sell something. I've sold things before at a higher price than I thought it was worth, and I got a buyer. You know, I didn't tell the buyer, oh, this isn't worth what I'm selling it for, but okay, and I've done that. I've bought a few things that probably at too high of a price, and I ended up taking a hit. That's just the way things work. You don't feel bad about that. So they could try to concoct that with this movie, and it simply doesn't work. And so many things don't make sense. The writing is just wretched on this movie.
She's apologizing for what's about to happen.
And you don't know why There, more than half of the floor at the beginning of the movie is being fired. That's never answered. It's tough times. Okay. And then Eric Dale is being fired, and he's been with the company for more than 19 years. He's a risk analyst. So later during the movie, as you're watching, you're like, why did they fire their risk analyst, the guy who could let them know perhaps what's happening? And then you're wondering why Eric Dale never told them, or why he never figured it out, like Eric Sullivan does when he not Eric Sullivan, but like Sullivan does when he comes in later and actually crunches everything in minutes. And figures it out, you know? Then we learned that Eric Dale told his boss, Sarah Robertson, a year ago that there were issues. She brings him up to somebody and it gets buried. So somebody somewhere knew what was going on, but the movie never tells us who it is that buried it. Maybe it was her boss, Jared Cohen. So we don't, there are no ramifications for who buried this stuff. And then she takes the hit, talking about you just don't have any sympathy for anybody. She evidently warned him a year previous, and then she's being asked to take a hit, to take a big payout, so she can be the public face of the shame, the alleged shame that the company is going to have for selling off all of its holdings. And she takes it. So she compromises. She takes the cash and becomes the public face of humiliation.
You as well, huh?
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So you don't like her. And then Eric Dale, who is, he and Sullivan are probably the only two in this movie that you want to have sympathy for, the two characters in this movie. But Eric ends up coming back to the office and sitting down and taking his $170,000 an hour.
Well, they told me they were going to drag me through hell on everything over the next 2 years. My options, my health care. Or I could come back here and make $176,471 an hour to sit quietly in this room.
Yeah, for just sitting there so that he doesn't tell the world what's going on, what's about to go on. So he compromises. He takes the cash payout and compromises his principles. And then Sullivan, he ends up seeing all this stuff that this allegedly wrong, that's going wrong with this company, the morality play. He sees everything that's going wrong, and he's going to stay with the company and accept a promotion that he's about to be offered.
You gonna keep the kid?
Keep him. He's getting promoted.
So the two people that you sort of like end up compromising. And so you just don't like anybody. And of course, the biggest compromiser of all is Kevin Spacey's character, Sam Rogers. There's no protagonist in this movie, but I guess he's sort of a semi-protagonist, and that's a problem. You need to have a protagonist with a movie. But he makes the biggest compromise of them all. He is the one who makes the speech, who makes the comments about this being wrong.
You cannot be doing what you're thinking of doing.
Sell it all today.
You're selling something that you know has no value.
And again, it's not wrong. This is Hollywood pretending that it's wrong. This is bad writing, pretending that it's wrong. But okay, they want to create the morality farce that this movie is. He thinks it's wrong. He's being asked to say by the boss, played wonderfully by Jeremy Irons. John Toole is the boss. And it looks like he's not going to stay. But of course he does. He comes back in and gives a powerful, 4 or 5 minute speech to the analysts, to the stockbrokers. And it's an amazing speech.
Guys, this is obviously a very, very unique situation. If we are successful today, we will have been successful in destroying our own jobs.
Shows why he's been so important for 34 years. So not only does he compromise, but he makes an amazing speech. Doesn't give away anything on how he feels about it, really. Just tells them that it's likely to be bad. And so all of these other people see what's going on, the stock brokers see what's going on. And if we're supposed to agree with this morality play, they're supposed to think this is bad, but they all are told you're going to get $1 million bonuses if you go out there and hit 93%. So bam, they jump up and do it. So nobody in this movie is a good person if we're supposed to accept the immorality of selling your own holdings when you found out that those holdings may be essentially worthless within hours or within days. That's the way the market works. It's what risk is based on. I've been in the stock market for a long time. I've made bad decisions. Who knows if my next door neighbor made a better decision because he was more informed. You know, it's not punishment to sell something when you're more informed. That's the way it is. That's even the way flea markets work. You know? Okay. So, bad story. Characters you don't like. The pacing is slow. That boardroom scene, 7-8 minutes, just goes on too long. And we get preached to by John Told, you know, and he makes that little comment about his three principles in life.
What have I told you since the first day you stepped into my office? There are 3 ways to make a living in this business. Be first, be smarter, or cheat. No, I don't cheat.
Yeah, you don't believe he's not a cheater. I mean, by the way he is, the way he delivers that. So the pacing is not necessarily good. The directing is okay on this movie. You know, you get good facial shots, decent angles, but the director is in charge of making sure that a story makes sense. And then you get a couple of bizarre scenes in this. The primary one being, I think it's Emerson. Yeah, Will Emerson played well by Paul Bettany, where he goes out and sits on a ledge, 40 stories above the pavement, and freaks out Seth Bergman and the other guy, Sullivan, Peter Sullivan, freaks them out by sitting on the edge. What is he gonna jump off? That doesn't seem to be his character. So he just almost is playfully sitting on an edge, dangerously sitting on an edge. That whole scene just was bizarre.
Whoa, don't do that, come on.
You know, the feeling that people experience when they stand on the edge like this isn't a fear of falling.
It's like, what are we supposed to have, like flashbacks to 1929 when, you know, stockbrokers were jumping out of windows? But his character, it didn't make sense for his character. So what, he's pranking these other 2 guys? Okay, whatever, man, whatever. Again, it just seemed like the director was preaching to us. These guys don't care. They don't care about people. They don't care about what it's going to do to the world. They don't even care about themselves. They'll play with death. That's the way that scene came across. It's just bizarre and unbelievable, frankly, like this whole movie is. And as I said at the beginning, this movie just, I mean, it has non sequiturs that piss you off. I was actually kind of interested in this movie in the beginning after the firing of Eric Dell, which went on way too long, but okay. And then the ominous look of the guy who's going to escort him.
So you can clear out your personal belongings.
Yeah, really? That's so cliched. But, you know, at the elevator, when he tells Sullivan, be careful, and Sullivan gets that look on his face.
Be careful.
Yeah, you're thinking, wow, are there dangerous physically dangerous implications to what's about to happen. So I'm excited. This actually seems like it won't just be a cloistered movie inside a stockbroker room and building, and that there's going to be more sort of scintillating aspects, dangerous, life-threatening aspects to this. No. That be careful, after you end up about halfway through the movie, you realize that be careful comment was a non sequitur. It's a throwaway. Be careful of what? So you're going to discover the numbers that I've been trying to find myself? That's not dangerous. Be careful? What the fuck ever? I mean, oh my God. I was pissed when I flashed back to that scene and I realized that there's not going to be any actual danger in this movie. Okay, yeah, danger of losing your job, big whoop. And you go and find a job of equal pay at another company, big whoop. Bogus. No drama. There is no drama in this movie because you don't care. The story doesn't make you care, and you don't care about the characters. So what this movie really is a middle finger to Wall Street. It's some sort of ignorant leftist broadside against the alleged cynical aspect of Wall Street and the people who work there, especially at the big companies. It just doesn't come across well. And the main guy who seems to be the heart and soul of the company, that is played by Kevin Spacey, Sam Rogers. He's the sort of ostensive protagonist because he compromises. You don't really care about him. And so we get one of the most bizarre endings I've ever seen on a movie, with him burying his dog that he paid $1,000 a day to keep alive. And you want to feel for the guy here, but he's just allegedly screwed millions of people out of their money. And we get sort of a palliative at the end with his ex-wife saying that her son survived what his company did. So what? But he's burying his dog. We don't care. We don't like the guy anymore. We don't like him. I mean, you can, if you have some qualms, we can start liking you. If you put those qualms aside and do the dirty deed, we don't like you anymore. But Chandra doesn't seem to understand that with this. He just goes ahead and has this, Chandra has this bizarre, almost sentimental finish on a movie where we don't care about what's happening and we don't care about the characters, including this ostensive main character. So it's just a mess of a movie, my friends. And I mean, the only thing redeeming about it is the acting, by all accounts. And I think the standouts on the acting are especially Kevin Spacey, Zachary Quinto, who played Sullivan, and Demi Moore does a pretty good job, but Stanley Tucci was the standout actor in this. Jeremy Irons did a good job, but I felt like he sort of overplayed many times, but I think sometimes it wasn't his fault necessarily. It was the bad writing shoved into his mouth. So those are the standouts in the movie as far as the acting. So the acting is the only place where I would give this thing anything above 5 out of 10 popcorns. So I'm going to give Margin Call 2 popcorns out of 10, only because the acting itself is terrific. Everything else on this movie makes it something you need to bypass, or if you've already seen it, you probably have if you're watching this. Let me know what you think. I'd be very curious. In the meantime, I'll catch you back at the movies. Take care of yourselves. Bye now.